I'm sure you've heard. The queen is dead. The queen is dead. Dead at age 96. She was one of the longest ruling queens or monarchs of all time. I think she was up there some 75 years or something. So anyway, this woman who works, I guess, as a professor, said she hoped the queen died an excruciating death, which caused Twitter to pull her tweet, meaning Twitter censored her for this. Twitter said, you can't say this on Twitter. I mean, have you ever been on Twitter? I mean, this is the most vicious, just absolutely vicious platform of any social media platform. I mean, Twitter people will just rip you apart. She wrote, I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating. That's mild. That's mild compared to what people write on Twitter. That's very mild compared to what people write on Twitter. Now, her words were slammed by thousands online. Fine. Jeff Bezos thinks it's horrible. Fine. 800 people petitioned to have her removed. Fine. What's the problem? The problem is when you tell her she can't say it. The problem is when you, as a platform who invites the most, well, not invites, but when you, as a platform who have no content without the people saying something, to censor them from saying something is not allowing free speech. It's stifling free speech. And the bad part about this is this is her opinion. And what's even worse is her opinion is based somewhat on truth. Let's say, for instance, you're in Afghanistan, right? Remember that family that got just blasted by the drone right as we were pulling out? There was a drone strike that killed like 6 kids or, certain amount of kids. Now, imagine you live in Afghanistan, right? You're a mother, you live in Afghanistan. That was your kid that got killed. You were the kid's aunt. Let's say that's your nephew that got killed. You were the kid's grandma. Let's say that's your grandson that got killed. Would you be upset? Would you be angry? Would you possibly say, well, these damn Americans, they came over here uninvited. They've been over here for 20 years, and now they killed my kid. They killed my grandson. They killed my nephew. And I think they're the most worst people in the world, and I think they should die an excruciating death. But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying that? There is somewhat of a basis for it to actually even be true in what they're saying. She's saying the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire, which could be conceived of as a true statement. And if someone is truly a thief that raped and committed genocide, and you wanted their death to be excruciating, oh, what's the problem? So now, if I got on here, right? Let's say, for instance, there was a prisoner in jail, raped and killed my daughter. He's on death row, and he's about to be executed next week. And I go, you know what? This guy is the worst criminal in the world. And I think he should die the most excruciating death, and he's getting let off easy by lethal injection. I think they should do something. I think they should burn him at the stake. Am I going to get, they're going to pull my tweet? They're going to take it down? They're going to tell me I can't say that? I mean, how many people have been outside death row going, burn in hell? This is too easy for you. You need to die. How many people have got online and said this guy is the worst guy in the world and he should be, cut with small razors and dipped in alcohol? A lot. A whole lot. Why don't their tweets get pulled? The reason why is because she's talking about the queen. And the queen is not only is she part of a cult, but she's one of the higher ups in a cult. This cult has been around for tens of thousands of years. And over those tens of thousands of years, they've honed in, this cult has honed in their control. And their control gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And you're in here. You're in here. And it's just the cult's control of you is getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And you're about right here at this point in time. Now, in the future, you're gonna be like this. You're gonna have nothing. You're literally gonna be able to do nothing that's not approved of by this cult. And yes, these Twitter gods are part of the cult. They're participating in it. They're not actually in the cult, but they're like the guard standing outside with a gun at the Queen's Palace. What do they call that? The Royal Guard or whatever. The guy that just stands there at Buckingham Palace, doesn't do anything until he has to kill you. That's what they're like. They're standing outside guarding the cult, and they're getting paid handsomely to do it. So if someone posts something vile about the Queen, you take it down. Here's a woman who's at King Charles Declaration, meaning now I'm taking over. See, this is what I mean when I say the cult's getting tighter. Back in the day, it was just like if the Queen died, well, yeah, it's over for a while till we figure something else out. If one of the cult leaders died, it was like, well, it's over for a while until some other cult leader came up in some way and then they took over something or they created something. But they're honing in now that they've honed it in. They're honing it in to the point of, well, now the Queen's dead. Now what? Well, now we got a king. King's dead. Now what? We got another king. Well, he's dead. Now what? We got another guy right here. Here he is. That's what they did. That's what this cult did when they created the title of king, the title of queen, the title of prince, the title of baron, the title of duke, the title of president, the title of official, the title of authority, the title Secretary of Interior, the title of Secretary of State. So the players just die out, but the game never stops. And the game is getting played on you, on me, on everybody who can't be the queen, on everybody who can't be a duke, on everybody who can't be a baron. How do you get to be a king in England? You got to be born into a family. You just don't. How many people are not going to be king of England? Raise your hand. You have literally 6 billion people raising their hand right now. How does that help me? How does that help you? How does that help 6 billion people to have a king, to have a queen, to have a prince? It doesn't. As a matter of fact, this guy right here just inherited, when his mom died, an estate worth $1 billion. So that $1 billion, that estate, that land, whatever it is, resources this guy is taking, inheriting, which is another way the cult has tightened the control over you, is through quote unquote inheritance, through ownership and inheritance. All that stuff he's inheriting could be used by other people. But no, it's not. It's just used by one guy and his wife and his couple kids. So, 5, 6 people. So instead of millions of people getting to enjoy land, or millions of people getting to enjoy something, millions of people getting to enjoy a couple bucks, no, he gets it all. And why is that? Because this cult that these people are in, that was created tens of thousands of years ago, has slowly closed the claws, the nets, until you're like this right now. You can't get out of it. You can never be king of England. You can never take his stuff. You can never own anything he owns. You can never do any of that ever. It's look, it's a 685-year-old estate. Okay? So for, let's say, roughly 700 years, they've had this estate, meaning the royal families had this estate. And guess when you're going to get it? Never. You're never going to get it. Never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get this estate. I'm never going to get this estate. 6 billion plus people are never going to ever get this estate. What kind of estate are you going to get? You're going to get a little tiny apartment in some overcrowded city. You're going to get some little tiny house on half an acre. You're going to get some little something, little tiny bit of something that's not even worth near $1 billion. You're basically going to get nothing. And this guy is going to get everything because he's born into the cult, because the control of the cult over centuries has become so tight that they've got it down. You're done. And it's only going to get worse. You're about right here, and they're looking for this. You're about right here where you're in the middle of it, and they got you in, and you can't really go anywhere. But guess what? It's going to get worse. And your grandkids are never going to own $1 billion worth of anything. Your great grandkids are never going to. You've been working for 10 for 2, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, and you're going to be working. Your kids are going to be working from now until eternity. If these people, if this cult stays in control of the world. You think this guy right here, if you walked up to this guy, hey, I don't think, and this is all part of the cult too. This is called what I call voyou. See all this stuff? This is all voiju. Any line, dot, or color made by man. Any line, dot, or color. Look at all these colors. Look at all these lines on its things of color. All this is made by man. All this stuff. This is all voiju. So he's walking around with all this voiju. See how this guy doesn't have as much voiju on him? See how this guy over here doesn't have very much voiju on him? See these people? The more voiju you have, the more deeper you are in the cult, by the way. So imagine walking up to this guy and go, hey, I noticed you just inherited not him, he didn't inherit it, but I noticed you just inherited, like $1 billion worth of stuff. Do you think you can possibly, give me some? What do you think this guy's going to say to you? Hey, I heard, you just inherited $1 billion worth of stuff, man. Could I have like maybe 100 grand or so? One hundred millionth of what you have. Could I have just maybe 100 millionth of what you have? What do you think he's going to say? First of all, he ain't even going to talk to you. Ain't even going to talk to him. You ain't even going to get close enough to this guy to say anything like that. You're not even going to get close enough to ask him for anything. And if you try to get close, you're going to get hurt, which is another trademark of this cult. They control you through violence and death. That's all they got. So they put on their little voiju, tell you who they are, and then if you don't listen to them, they violence you. You walk up to this guy. If any of these people notice right here, notice here you're being held back, and if you step here, guess what this guy does to you? He violences you. Now, if you get past him, guess what this guy does to you? He violences you. That's what this guy does to you. He violences you. So you got on all your voiju, you got all your money, you got all your everything, and how's it protected? Through violence. So this guy here is all tatted up, he's in the audience. He couldn't even come close to asking this guy, hey, could I have I don't know, 100 millionth of what you have? Just a little tiny bit. Just take what you have and cut it down to, like this, and then cut that down 100 times. Can I just have that much? No, absolutely not. You're not getting anything. And your kids aren't getting anything, and their kids aren't getting anything, and your grandkids aren't getting anything, and your great great grandkids aren't getting anything, and your great 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 great, just keep going down the line for eternity. Once they have this control completely like this, you ain't getting nothing except what this guy thinks you deserve, what he thinks you deserve. That's what you're going to get. That's what your great, 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 great. Just go down the line. You're getting nothing for eternity. So there's with this cult in control, there really is no end in sight. None.